Hi, howdy, and dare I say hello, fellow gamers. I'll be your host for the second part of this slideshow Sunday, Sapphire and Pink. If you're just tuning in to stream, Lady Arcaders is an all-women's gaming collective that runs weekly showcases and the occasional charity event. We strive to uplift and encourage women in their gaming endeavors by cultivating a supportive environment in which to showcase their talents. Now, don't say sayonara to the stream just yet, because Exxy has a lovely slideshow for us breaking down the narrative and game design in Sayonara Wild Hearts. Let's pop on over to Exxy and Jaypeg.
Hello and happy time zone, and welcome, friends and neighbors, frenemies. If you're here, great. I'm happy to have you. I am Exxy. We are going to talk about narrative structure and game design in Sayonara Wild Hearts, which is a thing that we're going to talk about. Here we go. So I first played this game about a year after it came out. It came out in 2019, and I had a very, very emotional. Excuse me. Before I start, let me introduce my commentator, Jaypeg. If you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Jaypeg, and when I saw that Sayonara Wild Hearts was going to be on attract mode, I went bananas in pajamas because this game rules. So I'm really, really excited to be here and learn more about what Exy has to say, because I guarantee it's going to be a banger.
Thank you. Awesome. And as you saw just now, I have notes. I'm going to barrel through it. But if you have questions, please put your questions in the chat. Please talk about what we're talking about, and we're going to try to incorporate that. And my commentators also know that they are free to interrupt or interject at any time and add some commentary. This is also primarily from a player perspective, because we're all players. We all enjoy video games. And this is kind of the perspective I wanted to write from and talk about this game from. It's a game that I had a very strong emotional response to when I first played it. And for a while, I was just like, okay, this game is really good, but like, why? Why is it so good? Why is it so good? And I was trying to find the reasons, and I was trying to put this together. And, I started watching video essays, which got me thinking about how you talk about video games and how they're structured. And I specifically saw a video recently of Dan Olsen did a talk at PAX East about Call of Duty Ghosts being a really bad game, and he explained his criteria for what a bad game is. And I was like, well, I could flip that and like use that to kind of think about what makes a game good. Like, why is this game so good? Other than me just saying, oh, it was good and I liked it and whatever. We have criteria that we can look at. And everything I mention also, I'm going to have a source document list that's going to have all my sources on it. And I'm going to put that on Discord. So join Lady Arcader's Discord if you're not on there already. You can see my sources, and the slideshow will be there too. You'll have everything, so don't even worry about it. Just sit back and enjoy. What I realized when I thought about it and broke it down was that Sayonara Wild Hearts, the thing it does exceptionally well is it tells you a story. And it uses every element of the design in a very economical and pointed way to tell that story. Okay, so first we must ask ourselves, am I on the right screen? Yes. What is Sayonara Wild Hearts? Well, it's a game, like we talked about, released in 2019, developed by Simogo, published by Annapurna Interactive, and the tagline for this game was advertised as a pop album video game. And I want you to remember that through this whole presentation, because that's just 4 words. But those are the most 4 words that you could use to describe this. It is equal parts pop album and video game. It's like playing through a pop album to me. I think they just, again, like that's just the best way to describe this game, is a pop album video game. Okay. What's next? Play this game. Like, I'm going to be talking through the narrative. I'm going to explicitly talk about narrative elements and specific parts of the narrative. I am doing it in as much of a non-spoiler way as possible, and in the sense that also I don't think that I could spoil the experience of you playing this game for the first time. And it kind of doesn't matter how much or how little you know about it. Even if I were to tell you the whole thing from beginning to end, you should still play this game. All right, it's available on almost everything. It's $12.99. It's always been $12.99. It goes on sale all the time. It's very, very accessible. So play it, please.
I will say, actually, real quick, it is on sale currently right now for 40% off for $7.79 on Steam. So
there you go.
Specifically, now is a great time.
Didn't plan it that way.
After the stream.
But great. Excellent. That's so good. Thank you. Also, when you play it real loud. Turn it up. Play it on a big sound system. Or if you have headphones, like real headphones, like the ones that go over your ear, like don't play it on earbuds. That's just, you're doing yourself a disservice. Play it on something big where you can hear it as you play it, because everything works together to tell this story really well. The fact that this game does not have a Grammy is an actual crime.
Yes.
It is better than the things that won in 2019, which was the score for Joker. I'm sure that's fine. It's better than that. It's better than the title song for No Time to Die. No offense to anyone in either of those categories. No offense to Billie Eilish. It's way better than that. It should have gotten way more recognition than it did. Okay. A little bit about my sources. I read a lot of stuff for this because I was fascinated, and I kept finding things as I went that like led me down different rabbit holes. Does anybody remember Offworld? Like, do y'all have?
Give me like 2 seconds to Google it. Give me. It
like
sounds
the website,
familiar, and I
like
want
the
to
game website, the gaming journalism website.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, it took me a second.
No, it's fine. I'm glad you remember it. Like, anyone in chat, please tell me that you remember this website and that you remember the work of the people who worked for that website, because it was such a good, repository of like interesting writing about video games. It was a bunch of awesomely diverse perspectives. There was a ton of queer and trans writers on there, and it was curated by Lee Alexander and Laura Hudson. And it's sort of in the wake of Gamergate, which is a whole, not going to talk about that. It was a whole thing. But they got to do this website, and it sadly was like around for like a year. It did amazing. It had amazing numbers. They shut it down anyway. Of course they did. But they published this book called the Offworld Collection. And I'm going to have a link to it as well. You can buy it on itch.io/offworld, I think is the address. It's $5. Like, the physical book is lost media. You can't get this book anymore. It's gone. It's like disappeared. It was published 10 years ago and it's gone. Read this collection. It's so good. It has so much good writing about video games. You'll recognize some names for sure. And sadly, a lot of those people don't write about video games anymore for reasons. But this was a huge resource for me in writing about this game and thinking about this game. We have on the top right my patron saint, Dan Olson. I've mentioned him before. He runs the website, or the channel Folding Ideas on YouTube. He makes videos about all kinds of stuff, but he started making videos about film and about video games, talking specifically about narrative. And if you want an introduction to him, this video that I've got the screenshot of, it's 18 minutes long. This is a really good video. It will blow your mind, and it will show you something that you believed without even knowing that you believed it. We all have this like propaganda in our head, and he's got a really good take on it, and that's a very good video. At the bottom here, we see Tim Kaine. Tim Kaine is the co-creator of Fallout, and a couple years ago, he started a YouTube channel where every day he publishes a 15-minute video. It is such a good way to get into thinking about game design, regardless of if you just play games and you want to appreciate them. If you want to know more about the history, like he's been working in games since he was 15 in 1980. He has seen everything in the modern era, and he talks about all of it. He's a good storyteller, and that's one thing that we'll keep coming back to, is that really good game devs are really good storytellers. But his channel is awesome, so check that out. Let's see. So our next question, how do narrative work? What are we talking about when we talk about narrative? Okay, so every game of any type has a narrative. And, it doesn't matter. Like when you play, let's say you play tic-tac-toe, what's the narrative? The narrative is that you're playing a game of tic-tac-toe, right? Someone will win, someone will lose, you might tie, you might get bored and quit. That's the narrative. It's very basic, but it's there. And it comes out of the mechanics. Like, there's nobody that wrote a story for tic-tac-toe, but when you play it, that's the narrative that you experience. Different games can have different types of narratives. This was a tweet that I liked that I decided to put in here because... am I getting a reaction there?
Yes. This just blew my third eye wide open. I'm fascinated by this.
So like different games can tell different types of stories, and they don't have to be explicit. Sometimes it's deliberate, sometimes it's incidental based on how you play the game. Sports games all have stories. Sports commentators are there to provide narrative structure and to communicate the narrative to you as the viewer and give you context. Hey, oh, this guy really hates this guy. That's why he put his elbow in his eye. Like, they tell you that. It's something that you learn as you watch the game. Now, unlike other media, if you think about film, if you think about books, we're kind of willing to excuse a lack of narrative or narrative simplicity in a game because of this, because games can engage us in many different ways. Right? When we sit down with a book, we expect to be rewarded with an engaging story. When we sit down to watch a film, we have expectations about what that film is going to give to us. Ask me about my reaction to the cinematic masterpieces that are the Nicolas Cage feature, Prisoners of the Ghostland or Jurassic World, and the shouting match I got into with one of my good friends in the lobby because I had way different expectations for that movie than she did. And I was totally wrong, by the way. But so we expect things from this, but with games, we have things like mechanical narrative is like, so when you think about Metroids, people say Metroidvanias. I call them Metroids because Metroid did it first. You don't really get half credit for doing it 10 years later. Metroids, like the story of the first Metroid is like, it's you shoot a bunch of stuff, get a bunch of stuff so that you can shoot stuff in other places. Like, that's the story of the game. It's out of the mechanics of the game that you get that narrative, and then there's a little bookended text on that. So alongside that, obviously sometimes another reason we excuse this is it can be fun to play bad games, right? Or games that we're less than satisfied with completely, just like it's fun to watch bad movies or read a trashy book, right? However, we still hold the best games to a different standard than we hold other media. A game that wins Game of the Year might have a terrible story, and we kind of let that slide, right? We don't really do that with other types of media. Okay, so now we're going to break this down a little bit. We have implicit narrative, we have explicit narrative. Implicit is what I mentioned before, is like it comes out of you as you play the game, right? The narrative of playing Pong is you're playing Pong. That's it. Also, I just noticed this. I did not pick this screenshot on purpose. It's the first screenshot I found for Pong. Nice. So
nice.
That's the implicit side, right? At the same time, there's an explicit side. And these developed in parallel. These were all present at the beginning of the game development when the first games were developed. Some of them were more implicit in the mechanics and just visual, graphical things. Some of them were explicit, like narrative-based text adventures that later evolved into MUDs and visual novels and things like that. So there's no way for me to say here's the exact narrative of how narrative developed. Like, there's no real timeline. It was always there from the beginning, and they sort of developed in parallel and then sort of absorbed into each other these elements. Like, implicit games started to get more explicit, and the way we see that is if we look at sort of like the 80s, we have what I call external narrative versus internal narrative. External is sort of like bookended text. Or in the case of arcades, this is where attract mode came from. Like, the thing you're watching, attract mode, is a reference to arcade machines when they would go into attract mode to get people to come play them. They would show you a little bit of story sometimes. Here we see a screen cap from Bad Dudes encouraging us, saying, President Ronnie has been kidnapped by the ninjas. Are you bad enough, dude, to rescue Ronnie? Bad meaning good here, obviously. And in retrospect, I would say no, I am not a bad enough dude to rescue Ronnie. He can stay captured, but I also don't really need a reason to fight ninjas, right? Because that's what they do. Like, in that game, you fight a bunch of ninjas. That's the story of that game. On the other side, we have the internal, which is where games started to internally specifically give you narrative exposition. And like, hey, we get to the end of the castle. Well, the princess isn't here. Toad tells us we have to go somewhere else. That gives us a reason to keep playing. That's sort of like an internal narrative that develops there. Early RPGs were primarily external narratives. Like, there's not a lot of text in the first Final Fantasy and the first Dragon Warrior. A lot of the narrative of those games are from supplemental materials. I don't know if y'all remember, but these games had gigantic manuals. They had maps. They had all kinds of other stuff that created the context and got you into the world. And then you played the game, and there was like a little bit of text, but not a whole ton of it in there, right? Then we get into the 90s, and we develop the immersive sim. And the immersive sim is a further exploration of this, and it's a further combination of all these elements, right? Specifically, obviously System Shock is a huge point in this story. Specifically, shout out, this is a screenshot of the System Shock instruction manual, which I remember reading. This thing blew my mind. If you get a chance, go look up the System Shock instruction manual. It's so good. It has this combination of like very dry technical explanations of how the game works with like memos from the in-game world that are like it's an immersive manual. Shout out to Tuesday Phrase who wrote that manual, and like I remember reading that and going, this game is cool, like before I even played it. We also have here Fallout, another milestone here where branching storylines, player choice starts to matter in shaping the storyline, and that's further how narrative develops here. Now we're moving into the modern era. We have things like Pastiche, which is just like a combination of styles, right? So 13 Sentinels, which also play 13 Sentinels, is a lot less available than Sayonara Wild Hearts, but like 13 Sentinels is a game. That's a game to play. It combines visual novel. It combines strategic RPG gameplay. It has a trans narrative that is like better than most, in the sense that like I can tell that they mean well and it's pretty good. And there's some stuff that they don't get exactly right, but it's the best we got. It's pretty good. And it's a good story, and I really, really like it. And then you have Nier, which combines things like perspective shifts, where we have like sometimes you go into 2D and play like a little 2D platform level, or you have a shoot 'em up level where it's kind of like a classic arcade level. That's one way to like, improve your narrative. Then we have meta narrative, which is the concept of breaking the fourth wall, addressing the player, going outside the bounds of what traditional gameplay is considered. Shout out to Out of Bounds Toronto. And we have the holy trinity here of Bennett Foddy and Davey Reedon and Daniel Mullins, who are, I think, pretty much doing this meta-narrative thing the best right now. Okay, we got to talk about missteps. There have been some missteps along the way. Not everybody gets it right, and not everybody does it well. We have here on the left one of my most despised games, and I want to say frame this correctly. Like, it's okay if you like these games. I like terrible games. It's fine. This is not a judgment or a shame of anybody who likes these games. I just want to hate on Heavy Rain because it hurt me like bad. I felt like it disrespected me as a player, and that's kind of a fundamental sin. Is like, it lied to me. It played with my emotions in a way that I did not respect. And Ethan is, as we see here, the worst father in gaming. I don't think that's particularly a controversial take. He's hitting his child with a sword right there.
Not up for, yeah. We're all with you on this.
Jason.
Also, that video is really good and very funny if you want to watch it. Now, the Mass Effect 3. So I want to, in defense of Mass Effect 3, I don't think Mass Effect 3 was a failure in game design. I think it was a failure in marketing. When I played Mass Effect, it never occurred to me. I never had the idea that, my choices are going to change the outcome of this game. Maybe because I knew a little bit about game development. I was like, there's no way that this is going to be accounted for across 3 gigantic games, right? But I thought of it as like, okay, your choices in this game, in these games, affect how you get to the end. It doesn't change the ending. It just affects how you get there. You can be nice, you can be rude and mean, and like, to me, that was satisfying. And obviously to a lot of other people, it was not. But I think rather than this being a design failure, other than kind of BioWare's like black and white Paragon Renegade thing doesn't really hold up, it's not really a failure of game design, right? And also, I will also cop to the fact that I never played the Mass Effect 3 single player because the multiplayer mode is one of the best things that's ever been done. And me and my friends just jumped into that and played that. So if you haven't played that, go get Mass Effect 3. It's still running. It's still great. It's not in the Legendary Edition, but it's in the standalone, and you could play it. It was some of the most fun I ever had. Maybe that's a future attract mode rant.
You're right, and you should say it. Mass Effect 3 co-op is
thank you.
Genuinely peak gaming.
It's one
so
of the
fun.
best. It's one of the best multiplayer experiences I've ever had. So thank you for validating that for me. What we're gonna
Love where this is going. I love this.
So what we have here is a triptych. It's the Garden of Earthly Delights by Hieronymus Bosch. It's a painting. The only thing you need to know is it's a three-part painting in 3 parts. It's designed to be read from left to right. The left panel represents the Garden of Eden. The right panel represents the Final Judgment. And the center panel represents the subject of the painting, which is the Garden of Earthly Delights. Now, what would this look like in a modern-day setting? I posit to you that...
Oh my god!
I posit to you that this is the modern-day version of that triptych. And I want to start with Far Cry 4, which is one of the most satisfying narrative experiences I've ever had in a video game. It's well written. It has complicated characters. It has a beautiful, charismatic, scene-chewing villain who loves to call you on your walkie-talkie and taunt you with the suggestion that he may have banged your mother. It's so good.
Classic.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Far Cry 5, it was fine. It fell short for me in a lot of ways. It's kind of shallow. It relies on caricature and gross out behavior. Like the dude's just kind of gross and he does gross stuff. It has this weird flippant treatment and like exaggeration of like what a cult is. The ending is deeply unsatisfying. I mean, on the other hand, it has a really good fishing mini game. And New Dawn was pretty good. I liked New Dawn. I don't remember any of it, but I remember it liking it, right? Far Cry 6 to me is the heavy rain of Far Cries. I kept waiting for it to get good. I don't know how anybody else feels about this, but I wanted it to be good because I know they could do it because they've done it before. They did it with 4. And they acknowledged coming up to this in the interviews. I remember reading, they kept saying, we know that 5 wasn't great. We're going to fix that. I was like, I had hope. I was like, it's going to be good. And 6 comes out. My friend and I buy it day 1. We go through it. And I kept waiting for it to get... I'm like, it's going to get good. It has to get good. And then the final cutscene plays. And I just sat there. We sat there in silence together. And we were like, that's what you want to do? Like, that's the story you want to tell? Like, you got Giancarlo Esposito. And you made him do that? Like, it was very, very... Again, to me as the player, I felt disrespected. Was the game fun? Yeah, it was fun. Like, it was well done. It looked great. It played great. But, like, at the end of the day, I was like, why did you do that? Why did you do that? You know? Okay.
Yeah.
Question, real quick.
Go ahead. Go for it.
At the ending of Far Cry 6, did you sit in stunned silence for longer or shorter than when in the Peppa Pig game it fades to black and says in loving memory of Queen Elizabeth?
Oh.
I didn't play that and I didn't experience that, but it's the similar vibe. It is a similar vibe of like, what are you doing? Why is this here? What is this for? Why did you do that? Peppa Pig did that for real?
Yes!
Oh my goodness.
Don't worry, I'll put a link to it in chat or something.
No, please do. Join the Lady Arcaders Discord. That's wild. Discord. It is kind of the same vibe. It is like, you have my attention and you could tell me anything and that's what you want to tell me? Okay. So let's step away from the missteps. It's going to be all good from here on out. We're going to look at how specifically Sayonara Wild Hearts communicates its narrative. Again, I'm going to discuss specific narrative elements. I'm going to do my best not to spoil things for you, but I can't spoil this game for you. The experience of playing it is so joyful, and it will affect you. I can't imagine anyone playing this and going, oh, this sucks, or I don't like it. Even though I've had friends say those things to me, I don't think they mean it. So, how does Sayonara Wild Hearts communicate its narrative? It combines all of the elements that we've been talking about. It does everything, but it does it in a very minimalist and just as much as it needs to do to get the point across. And it has this bookend narration. It has text at the beginning, very briefly a voiceover, and then at the end, very briefly in a voiceover, just kind of set the stage for you to say, hey, here's what's going on, right? I want to point out that this is all we get of the protagonist before we jump into the action. And I want to ask my commentators, what do you know about this person from these two screenshots? What can you tell me about this person?
They like skateboarding.
Yes.
Immediate.
They have very specific choices in art that are like,
oh yeah,
they feel intentional as opposed to just like, this is cool, I kind of like it. Like there's clearly like a curated choice in the art that goes on their walls and a cohesion to it. That I think like gives like the implication that they themselves are a visual person. And that like that the visual aspect means a lot to them.
Yeah,
yes.
And like especially with like, I mean, the color coordination that I'm noticing in the right picture of like the lamp and the skateboard wheels, and that we can see like the same colors in the art on the walls as well.
This is great. You're picking up stuff I did not notice. So what I was going to say is that this is a woman. She's queer-coded, right? So she's wearing trans/bi colors. This game is awash in bisexual lighting, which just also happens to be 80s retro lighting. So they're accomplishing two things with that. They're like, we're setting up the vibe in multiple ways here. It's very economical. And then also, she's depressed, right? The text at the beginning tells us that she's depressed, but also if you look at this room, like her shoes are just kicked off. Her skateboard's just kind of thrown down. She's bummed out, right? Something that I liked very specifically that I noticed, this is a longboard. And a longboard is a type of skateboard that is designed for travel. So we're going on a journey. This is something this is telling us in this visual. This is a real place. I didn't know that. And I Googled the name of it, and it showed me this place. So I want to go here. It looks really good. Shout out to Varnham's Falafel. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that right, but anyway. So another thing that they do is they use tarot as a framing device, and the developers in interviews talked about this as something that it's not... what they learned as they were developing the story was that the characters and the concepts of the tarot kind of mapped really nicely onto the story they were telling. And so it's not literally saying like, you know, this is about tarot, or that tarot has like a direct influence on the story other than as a framing device. But it's neat because it gives us a nice framework. It's a reference to something we already know. And it kind of, again, maps it onto different things. And when you see temperance show up and it becomes a bow, you go, oh, she's fighting the bad person with temperance. It makes sense, right? And then I found this lovely quote from the Offworld collection, which is, astrology and witchcraft have always throughout history offered ways for marginalized people to understand the world. So there's an undercurrent of that. Like all of this is part of the package. When you bring tarot in, you're getting all of this extra stuff with it that they don't have to explicitly say. They can just say, oh, the protagonist is the fool, and now you get it. You're like, oh, I get it, right? It makes sense. What else does it do? The other elements here in play are music and motion. Like, this game is obviously very music-centered. The developers have talked about how they wrote the music first, and it was very forefront of their minds. That's kind of how you have to do it if you were going to make a game that is equal parts music and game. And that's what they do. The story is on rails. You're moving the entire time through this story. And you move in a lot of different ways, but you're always moving. Now, that's really neat because the story it's telling is about dealing with difficult emotional situations and processing grief and trauma. And what happens when you do that, you can't pause. You're in it and you have to keep moving through it, just like this game does for you. The devs have talked about how they have they had in between the levels, they had like little kind of other levels where you could just walk around, and they took those out because it didn't help. It wasn't helping the story. It was actually working against the story. And that makes sense because like if you're always moving, it's just a really nice way to portray that. So again, with the music and them saying it's a pop album video game, as you play, songs come and go, and they come up when you have these certain moments in the game. And the lyrics of the songs are commentary on what is happening in front of you and the relationship between the people that are featured, right? So I didn't get this on my first couple playthroughs because it was a little hard for me to pick the lyrics out among all the other stuff that was happening. But when I went back and read the lyrics, I was, oh my goodness, it is just telling you what's happening. It is like literally a Greek chorus of like, hey, this is what this relationship was like. This is what this relationship was like. And it just goes, song by song. It's very, very cool. I also want to shout out to Claire de Lune, which is Debussy. They used that at the beginning in a really cool way. And Debussy is an impressionist composer. And the original piano piece has a lot of rubato in it, which is like when you kind of get to take your own time with it and play it very expressively. And at the beginning of the game, during the voiceover, it's underneath, and I'll actually I'll switch back to it now so we can hear it. It starts out very like quiet and like out of time. It's kind of being played very expressively, and then there's a moment where you start moving, and that's where the beat comes in, and it locks it into a tempo. It's a very cool use of that, where the beat becomes very structured, and you're like, oh, we're gonna go. Okay. Actually, let me just jump to that part. Yeah, right here, because actually this is all in the music, and they just decide to use it in a certain way that's very cool. So then it just like starts moving. It's very cool. I don't know. Okay. First antagonist that we meet, the Dancing Devils. I really like this group.
Yes.
Ooh.
And so every so I should back up a second. How would you describe the plot of this game in like a summary, like a sentence? Like, what would you say happens in this game?
A fever dream that self-improves you.
Okay. Yeah.
Like
yeah. So like
it's bizarre and colorful, but in a way that leaves you at the end of it going like, I feel like I learned and processed something along this time.
Yes, exactly. The way I've described it to people is a woman journeys into her own heart to murder the memories of her ex-lovers.
Real!
And that's what like, and now I've had people tell me that they think this game is literal, like that this woman literally is transported out of her house into another dimension to like do this stuff. And I'm like, the way they're coding it, not really. Like the tarot and everything, like they're framing it so that she's journeying inside of herself to like deal with these things. Like these are not current situations, these are past situations, right?
Yeah.
And so we get to the Dancing Devils, which is the first relationship conflict that we have. And what happens here? Well, we are in pursuit. We are looking for them. We are chasing them down as the player. And something interesting I noticed that I did not really notice before is that they are not really interested in fighting you. They are trying to get away from you. They are being defensive, and they are kind of like fighting you a little bit, but they're done. They're not really interested. And you are pursuing them like relentlessly, right? And underneath this, we have Begin Again, which is a fairly optimistic song in terms of the content. It's saying like, I need to begin again. I need to like, I've tried to forget everything, and I need to like move on, right? So I'm going to play now a video of the moment that this game kind of clicked for me. And it is from this section of the game where every element, well, I'll explain after. We'll play the video first, and then we'll just we'll go from there. Okay, so I actually just contradicted myself because I misremembered. I thought they all waved goodbye to you, but that first one is like beckoning to you. One of them definitely waves goodbye, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure. So what happens there is we have like everything comes together. You're chasing these people, you're trying to pursue them, you're fighting them. They're like, whatever. They're fighting back a little bit. And then this person's like, I'm going to split the ground open to get away from you. And you jump off your motorcycle and you start flying right as the chorus of the song hits. And it's this big chorus, and the lyrics are, I've tried to forget all the pain and regrets. It's the last time tonight. And you're flying. I when that happened the first time, I don't know if you had a similar reaction, but I was like, oh, this is where it locked in for me, right?
I have goosebumps watching it, so
Yeah. Yeah, it's fantastic. So that's where I was like, oh, this is a game. This is going to do something. So let me, okay, am I in the right? Okay. So the second antagonist, the Howling Moons, right? This is, and it's set up as a different kind of relationship. It's a different kind of level that you navigate through. And something, again, I didn't really pay attention to until I was researching for this is like they literally drug you. Like they drug you, and it's a setup for like a fun psychedelic level, but it's also commentary on maybe what this relationship was like. At this point, justice and judgment, the tarot cards come in and they become the guns on your motorcycle. So we are in vengeance mode. We are trying to kill these people. We're trying to kill the memory of them. There's an emphasis on this quest for vengeance, like she wants revenge. These antagonists are much more willing to fight back. They have a giant wolf mech that they try to murder you with. And the design of the woods level is very claustrophobic. It's tight spaces, it's narrow pathways, but it's also these collapsing bridges and gaps. It's just this very claustrophobic space. And the song, Dead of Night, is it's about abandonment. It's about being alone. It's very dark. It's the only song in a minor key on the soundtrack. And the vocal here, it moves up and down because the lyrics are providing questions and answers, and the vocal is moving up and down in the same kind of way to pose these questions and the answers that the protagonist is looking for. I will also say that the first chorus ends on a deceptive cadence. And emphasizes the dead of night, like I'm the only one alive in the dead of night. The cool little synth riff, and it stays in the minor key. The second time that it does this at the end of the song is like I'm the only one alive. I'm the only one alive. I'm the only one alive in the dead of night. It's like I'm alive is being emphasized there, and it's a big authentic cadence. It ends on a major chord, and it's like there's still optimism there, and that plays, of course, as you murder these people and destroy their hearts and absorb them into your own. Okay. What do we have next? We have the Stereo Lovers. Again,
this rules.
This is a different type of relationship, right? When
this
you meet
level.
this level, when you meet this person, what did I do? Nope. Okay. When you meet this person, the first thing they do is they throw a sword at you, and then they try to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Super aggressive. Way different vibe. Okay. And you fight them for a little bit. You split them in half, which is interesting, and then they become Stereo Lovers. And then they do this thing. I'm going to play another video for you of the level that I still have a lot of problems with. And it's very interesting mechanically. This is what they do. They start snapping, and like the level changes as they do it. So I'm going to ask Jay, what does that portray to you? Like, what do you feel like that portrays, or what are they trying to say with that?
There's a lot of like, and I feel like I can relate to this one because even though like, first of all, like the mechanic and the music of this one, this was like my favorite thing to witness in terms of like relationships and stuff like that. There's so much of like this obvious like falsehood or like the difference of like an internal and external person to me of like the person that like it's like, oh, everybody really really likes them. They're so nice. They're working so hard. They're so sweet. Like I don't understand. And then when you're alone, it's like, how is this different? And it feels like the world can drop out from under you, which is pretty
Yeah.
much what level does at certain times.
Yeah.
So it's a very telling experience if you've been in something like that.
Yes, totally agree. It's also a literal depiction of gaslighting. Like
Yep.
they're changing reality in front of you and making you deal with it. Um, and the interesting part about that is you as the protagonist, you learn how to snap back and bring it back, which is pretty cool. Um,
Mhm.
the song here is a very sweet, upbeat pop song with very dark lyrics. Again, kind of my favorite music. Uh, but the lyrics are so dark, and it's about possessing someone and wanting to own them and possess them fully. It's full of these synth stabs that match when they're trying to stab you literally with the swords. There's a synth stab every time they do it. It's very cool. Um, and it also has my favorite bridge of all the songs. It's just a really good bridge. So yeah, that's Stereo Lovers, and then we have Hermit 64. Um, Again, stuff I never thought about. I mean, I saw it and I witnessed it, but I never thought about it. She literally turns you into a game cartridge and plays you. Um,
Mhm.
and this is a framing device to say, oh, we're going to have a little virtual boy level, which is super cool mechanically. Like, that's neat. But that's also a commentary on what this relationship was like. That's interesting. Um, Also, she's clearly like a stand in for Janelle Monáe, which I also is really cool. Um, so, The World We Knew is the song here. It's a very sad song, it's very confused. But it references Begin Again. It says, they say begin again, but I'll treasure any fragments left behind. It's flipping that, and the protagonist is now doubting herself and like doubting what she believed before. And that's that's telling you the story there. It's very interesting as you, again, try to murder this person. Okay, now we're Little Death. Here we are. Um, this character, I don't know how anybody else feels about this character. This character reminds me of specific people that I know, like in a way that I found really disturbing. It was like, how did they know how to make this character? Um, I will ask my commentators. Do you remember the first thing that happens? The first thing that Little Death does when you meet them?
I don't right now because I am once again stuck on Little Death's hair.
I know.
Which every single time I look at Little Death, it takes me a minute. But no, please remind me because I I'm there.
She laughs at you. They laugh at you. Like
Yeah, the
they are
mockery.
excited. They are excited to hurt you. This person wants to
Mhm.
hurt you, and they are really excited
Yep.
about it. And again, this is something I did not clock until I was putting this thing together, and I was like, they are laughing at the idea of being able to hurt you. So, and that's that, and obviously this person is coded as the final boss. They get the Death Tarot card. They are set up as such, and Inside, which is the song that's paired with them, is a song about failure to communicate and feeling powerless. And it plays out in the level as well. And of course, like every good final boss, they refuse to die. Just like the worst people that you know, who will not let you leave them behind. Whether you
Yes.
try to break up with them or whatever it is, they insist on remaining in your life. That's what's going on here. This is a person who is very destructive and is very much interested in and enjoying the ability to hurt you.
Yeah, it's over when I say it's over. You don't
Yeah,
get to decide that it is. Is
exactly.
essentially like the message that they're trying to send.
And then we have the final form where they absorb all of the previous antagonists as tarot cards and then throw them at you, which is a really cool level, but also indicative of the type of behavior that these types of people engage in. So I'm not going to explain what this means. I'm not going to spoil anything for you. This is the coda. This is the resolution. This is the redemption. This is where the protagonist, quote unquote, finds her groove, and the way that this is portrayed is so powerful. And this is where I lose it every time. I just cannot get through Wild Hearts Never Die without just sobbing uncontrollably, because they again bring back like the elements that they've used already to absolutely turn everything on its head and go, okay, well, you thought that was the way to deal with it. You thought that you needed vengeance, and what you really needed to do was to let go of it. And the way that they portray that is so powerful. And again, just like, it's the simplest way to tell a story, but it's so effective. The lyrics of Wild Hearts Never Die is a return to the optimism. This is not how it ends. This is not goodbye, etc., etc. And we then return home. And this is something I noticed. Again, I'm just noticing stuff that I feel like I should have gotten. So the protagonist floats back down to the floor with her guitar. She lands facing you. Did you clock that a place I don't know is being sung to you as the player? Because I didn't. But it's it's meta narrative. She's saying that the you in that song is you, the player. You are the one who brought her to a place she didn't know, because you helped her get out of this thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool. I never clocked that, but like, that's what they're doing. She's facing you. She's singing to you. And so there's some meta narrative there for you. And so how do we know that this works? Well, you can map it onto traditional criticisms of narrative. You can map it to the hero's journey. You can map it to the heroine's journey, which is a better version of the hero's journey, and formalized by Maureen Murdoch in her book. It just maps onto this really well. It also maps onto the stages of grief. Believe it or not, like, everything fits. Denial is begin again. Anger is all the way through. You're murdering people all the way through. Bargaining is mine. Specifically, the word bargaining is in that song. The world we know is very depressing. And then Wild Hearts Never Die is acceptance. It just maps onto it really well. So let's talk about ethics and accessibility. This could be its own presentation about how they thought about this game from the beginning. The devs have been very explicit about how they said that they wanted this to be accessible. And how is it going to be accessible? Well, let's make it the controls as simple as possible. There's one button that you use sometimes, and there's a joystick for movement. You only ever move in 2 dimensions. The perspective changes a lot, but anybody can play this game, right? You can't fail it, which is pretty super important. There's a mechanic that prevents you from failing. There's some really tricky parts, but it lets you skip, and it doesn't affect the story. That's really important. There is a lot of deep challenges if you want. There's a whole set of riddles that I have no idea what they are, because I've never really tried to figure them out. But you can go back and you can do other things for players who want to do that, but it doesn't interfere with the players who just want to enjoy the story. And I think that's really important. And it's accessible in terms of the price point. Like, it's always been $12.99. It's never been more than that. And right now it's cheaper than that even now. So in terms of time investment, it respects you as a player. It respects your time. You can't play this game for more than an hour, because when the album's done, the game's done. It's on rails. You move through it. You're done. Like, it really respects you in that regard. So I do want to mention something about the marketing of this game that really struck me. And when I was reading the interviews and I was watching the trailers and everything, one thing that they did not do, the devs talked a lot about these other points. They talked a lot about how we want to make a game that's accessible. It's got a retro aesthetic, and it's kind of this cool arcadey type game, but it's got a story in it and all this stuff. They never mentioned the queer theme. And they never mention it. It feels very deliberate. Not in that they were trying to downplay it, but I think what they were trying to do was to normalize it. And I really, really respect that, because they did not say, as another unnamed game might say, you know, hey, come check our game out. Tracer's gay, so come play our game where kids will yell homophobic slurs at you in the voice chat. They didn't do that. And I'm getting to the point where I'm really sick of queer baiting, whether it's intentional or not. And it's like, for them to just not have that as like one of the main selling points of the marketing campaign, I thought was really cool, because it also let me discover it on my own, because I didn't know that's what it was going to be about. I mean, the trailer you get is like, oh, girls fighting on motorcycles. That's pretty cool. But you don't really get a sense of really what it's about. I like that. So that's kind of where... Oh, and then there's a quote here. Sorry. Again, from the Off-World collection, limitations are the natural enemy of bloat. They work wonders for creativity and invention. And that's Anthropy wrote that in that collection. And I believe that. I think that's really true. They did you can tell they did a ton of work, like paring it down to absolutely the essentials. There's nothing in there that's excessive. There's nothing in there. There's no levels. We got to do a level that sucks, or like there's no obligatory anything. It's just like what will convey this story in the best possible way, and how can we do that? And I really appreciate that. So the takeaways from this: as a player, you can have everything. You don't have to settle for games that are lacking in something. You can have a game that has great mechanics and great art and a great story. You don't have to, and we all, of course, have settled in various ways because we've had to up to this point. But this is proof that you can really do it all, and that we don't have to make excuses for games who fail in a regard. We can just say that game failed in this regard. I think you can do less and do it well. I think you can do a lot less and do it really well. And of course, I think good music makes everything better. So I want to thank Simogo for making this game. I want to thank the Selkooth Mind for we were on a showcase last fall, and I asked her about her VTuber, and she took like an hour and a half and was like, "Here's how you do it," and just walked me through the process because I was curious about it. I wouldn't be doing this now without her, so I thank you for that. Heart and Scarf and Tom vs. Everything are streamers that I admire that also inspired me and told me that I could do this. Radiant Lumina for sitting through Tech Check for me for like 2 hours trying to figure it out. You are a saint. And obviously Metroid Crime for cornering me at Fatals and being like, you should join Lady Arcaders and do stuff for us. And she was right. And thank you also for creating this space where I could rant at you for however long about this. And thank you to my commentators as well. That was a lot of fun. And I hope I did all right. But
oh my god,
you did amazing.
Thank you.
I'm now like I had things that I wanted to do today, and now I'm like, what if I just went and played the game like again?
I'm
like,
glad that's the effect. I'm so
like,
glad. Oh, and I do have a final quote again from the Off-World. Read the Off-World collection. Just read it. It's so good. Like, support people who do this kind of work. Game journalism is a hellish place to live, and I keep seeing people leaving, and it's setting us back every time that happens. It happened 10 years ago, and there was this huge exodus, and everybody who left were the people who would have gotten us. We would be so much further today. We would not be arguing about wokeness in games if those people had stayed in. And it really bothers me that we have to keep retreading the same ground. But this quote from Lee Alexander: I was always attracted to the unusual and the non-traditional. I blogged about hentai games and horror games. I overanalyzed everything. I thought about what creators meant to say, and I took noisome stands whenever possible about all the ways I thought the commercial, calcified world of video game culture could be broken open, made stranger and cooler and more beautiful. Less gunmetal and neon, less merchandise and memes, more good colors, good music, and good clothes. And that's what we got. Yeah.
Preach.
So thank you.
Thank you. Like, you really kind of just like nailed it with discussing the fact that like this game, like you never like said it like straight out, but you, like the summary of a lot of it too is like this game is supposed to make you feel something, and it does, and it's because it feels something. Like,
yeah,
it doesn't go, oh, what if this happened? It's not like posing these questions at you as much as making them like tangible experiences that might be like veiled or like involved in these like, well, okay, instead of like showing somebody who's two-faced or gaslighting you, we're going to show like the two different sides of the lovers and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it used language, like it used different language to do that, but like there's an earnestness in Sayonara Wild Hearts that is like un like you can't fake that.
Right.
Um
Yeah.
and I think that's so important is like when you play games that you know like are the people who made it were passionate about doing so and genuinely invested in doing so, and you can tell. It's the same way that you can tell when somebody is smiling while they're talking.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell when somebody made a game and they were feeling something while making it, and they want you to feel something as well. Like there's something there, and Sayonara Wild Hearts kind of hits that nail like straight on the head.
Yeah, I don't think you could make this game without knowing the type of scenario that they're presenting, like without having gone through something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you for this, and thank you for having me, and thank you for like letting us go along with you on this, because like first of all, go play this game, everybody. Exy was not kidding. And second of all, it truly is just like it shouldn't be an underdog. Like it should not be an underdog. It should be like the forefront of so many things. It's such a good example of like, oh, well, what do we like? I want a game that has like a queer narrative, but like you said with marketing, that it's just like it's normal. It's part of the experience. Like, have you heard of Sayonara Wild Hearts? I want a game that really has a good visual story and color story and really like ties those in. Have you heard about Sayonara Wild Hearts? What about if a game was like an album that you had to listen to from beginning to end and it really brought you through something? Have you heard about Sayonara Wild Hearts?
No, thank you for reminding me too. I didn't say this explicitly, but it's a queer story. It's a queer love story. It's a queer self-love story. We don't have a lot of those that I know of, that I'm aware of. It's very rare. And to have one that's so good and so well put together is like, it's also good for you to just play it. Like, I think that's just also good for you as a person. Like, it helped me be a better person. So, yeah.
Yes. Flashback to the first slide of play the game. Yes.
Exactly.
So that's all I have. My brain is fried. If there
you
are
just
any,
poured your heart out.
I did. If there are any questions or comments, you can always also DM me, and I will join the Discord. I'll put the materials in the Discord as soon as I recover, and you can find me on Twitch, or on YouTube, or on Discord, or on Instagram, and I'm out there. I'm doing stuff. What about y'all?
I will go next. Y'all can find me on Blue Sky, and in Discord. I do have a Twitch. I'm not really doing that much on it right now. And if I'm doing something on Twitch, it's usually on somebody else's channel. That being said, you can also catch me. I'll be helping with some posting for Out of Bounds. So if you like memes, just think maybe one of them was assisted by me. I could be funny on the internet. And then the other place that'll be is SGDQ coming up. So yeah. Most importantly, thank you, Exy, for allowing me on this ride. This
It was
game
a delight. It was my pleasure.
Was and is very important, and you sold. I hope you sold people on it, because I was already sold and now I'm just more sold. So
Great.
Yeah, it's incredible. So thank you for pouring your heart out and letting us be along for it.
Absolutely.
I, for one, am very sold, and it's in my Steam cart currently, actually.
Yay.
Yay!
Oh, also, one year I gave it out as Christmas cards to people, because
yes,
that's such a good idea. Because I had friends, I was like, I want you to play this, but I'm not just going to tell you. And a Christmas card, whatever, you're going to throw that out. I just would buy them a copy. So.
Real.
All right. Yeah, well, I've been your host. Thank you so much, Exy and Jaypeg, for taking us along on this journey. I've been thoroughly enjoying it from someone who didn't know much about the game, and I'm excited to play it personally. Just make sure if you're in Twitch chat, just don't go anywhere yet. Stick around for some final announcements and for our raid afterwards. And I'm back just for a little bit longer. I've been Sapphire and Pink. Thank you so much all for sticking around for this wonderful slideshow and the slideshow Sunday we've been having. I do just have a couple of things to tell you. I have to remind you guys, time is flying by incredibly fast. We are speed running the month of June right now, as all these speedrunners who are performing on attract mode and a ton of Lady Arcaders. We're also about to hit our second in-person event. Out of Bounds 2 Ronto is happening next weekend on Sunday, June 15th and Monday, June 16th. Make sure if you're in the Toronto area, you can stop by, you can pick up tickets. There should be a command in chat. It's, yep, LAOOB2. It'll give you all the information you'll need. You can also join our Discord and get more information. And make sure y'all are following us on Twitch, as all of it will be streamed. And we're gonna be posting about it on Blue Sky. I'll be in chat at the very least, so I'd love to see you there. Yeah, just make sure to check out that schedule and grab your tickets. And next time on Attract Mode, I will just let you know, we just finished our presentations on highlighting a game's narrative and the lovely presentation that BD had earlier on Super Mario World ROM hacking. This coming Thursday, actually, Sweet Peeps is going to be taking us on a journey through 2 speedruns of the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, wandering through the empty halls of any percent glitchless and the meaningless emissions of 12 endings. What is the nature of the game? What is your nature? What are you? Maybe we'll answer these questions, or maybe we'll just have a time. Come and check us out on the Lady Arcaders Twitch stream on Thursday, June 12th at 9 p.m. Eastern. I will also be there for that one. I just want to thank everyone again. Thank you all for having me this lovely afternoon. I hope the rest of everyone's day is full of joy and light and anything you could want. And I also hope you're all ready to raid into Preventathon, who's going to be our raid target for the end of this showcase. They're supporting Little Warriors, and I believe right now they're running Sonic the Hedgehog, the classic Sonic trilogy. So they're supporting Little Warriors. Let's all go check them out. And just remember, warning, incoming game.